Hey, Steve.
Hey, Alan.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Alan. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Matt.
So here's what's going on. We've had a lot of listeners, like four, suggest that Steve and I do the lightning round. Matt Pries here has been one of our insiders from the early days. And so we've invited him here to help us kick off the month of August before we start getting serious again with the podcast and run Steve and I through the lightning round. So Matt, whenever you're ready, go ahead and you're in charge.
I like that you said I'm going to run you through it because people might not know that I'm a cross-country and track and field coach and an English teacher, not a music educator, but I still love this podcast. So please send your friends to listen. All right. Alan, favorite restaurant in Des Moines?
Favorite is Django. I don't go there often enough, but I just really like the combination of cool food and laid back vibe and decent wine list.
Des Moines favorite restaurant, Steve?
The 801 Chop House. I am very, very picky about my steaks, and that's the only place in Iowa I've found who can make a better steak than one I can grill myself.
Let's move further away from Iowa. Steve, favorite restaurant at Disney?
At Disney, if I'm up for spending the money, Topolino's Terrace at the Riviera Resort. Otherwise, the Ronto Breakfast Wrap at Ronto Roasters in the Hollywood Studios.
Alan?
I think my favorite restaurant is also Topolino's, if I'm willing to spend the money. But there's a tapas place that's very accessible with a lot of variety and a great wine list called Jaleo, Jaleo. It's a restaurant of Jose Andres, and it's at Disney Springs.
Let's move to memorable live music performance, Alan.
My most memorable performance must be the one that I can't get out of my brain from when I was a freshman, sophomore in high school. I heard the top choir at Lawrence University in Appleton, Wisconsin, about a half hour from where I lived. I heard them perform Mozart's Requiem Mass. And at the time, I was going to become a composer. And I knew enough about music theory to be dangerous, but I wasn't quite literate enough to know like everything. And I'd never heard Mozart's Requiem Mass before. So the Kyrie is wonderful, and it goes through like the minor. It's like in D minor, I think, but it also goes into the relative major a lot. And so I got suspenseful as a composer, as a budding composer. I'm like, is it going to end in that minor key? Is it going to end in the relative major? Or is it going to end in the minor key, but with a Picardy third? And so the nerd in me was like really suspenseful about that. Steve Shanley, just a quick question. Do you know how Mozart's Kyrie ends from the Requiem Mass?
Yeah, it ends in major, ends on the major chord.
No, there's no third.
Oh, okay.
There's no third in the Kyrie. Now, when those motives are restated later, when it's like something else, then it ends major, I think. But I was at the edge of my seat. Is it going to end major? Is it going to end minor? Picardy third? It was none of the above. It was like an open fifth. And I decided then and there that music was super powerful. So that is my lightning round answer to the question.
Very thorough, yeah. All right, Steve. Most memorable live music performance?
I'd never thought about how I'd answer this question, even though I've asked it to almost all of our guests. So this was a brutally tough one. If I had to pick, it would be seeing Kenny Barron play a solo piano set at the North Sea Jazz Festival in the Netherlands in 1998, which is really something since it was a long time ago and I'd probably had one or two Heinekens by the time he went on that evening.
Film and TV are things I know you both enjoy. What's a movie or a TV series, Steve, that you've enjoyed recently?
The Bear. We just binged the first two seasons of The Bear, started the third. They label it as a comedy, which I think is a bit of a stretch, but the music, dialogue, characters, food as art, the messed up families, the city of Chicago as a character, it's wonderful.
Okay, and Alan?
We're working through Better Call Saul right after rewatching Breaking Bad, and it's so good. Can't believe it didn't win Emmys.
We've talked about Mozart, but I'll be interested to see, Alan, if that's your favorite composer, or if there's another, or if there's a piece of music you wish more people knew.
I think one of our podcast guests actually answered with the same thing, but there's like sort of an alternative artist named Kishibashi that I wish more people knew about. Kishibashi, got a little something for everybody.
And Steve?
David Byrne. Many people know him from the Talking Heads, but fewer are aware of all the cool projects he's done as a solo artist. So many different genres with different musicians, all creative and beautifully done.
Very good. We've talked about Disney. Will that come up here? Favorite vacation spot in the U.S., Steve?
That's another tough question because so much of the answer kind of depends on the goal of the vacation. which I realize is a very privileged thing for me to say. But as of today, I'd go with New Orleans. Anymore, I love a city where I have a lot of options for late night eating and fine dining during the day. And New Orleans certainly delivers on both those counts. And of course, I also love the tie into jazz history too.
Very nice. Alan?
Yeah, I like Steve's comment about the goal of the vacation, but Vermont fits the bill for us in so many ways. There's beautiful scenery. We love to hike. We like to eat. There's like great craft breweries there. There's great farm to table restaurants. So the scenery, the outdoor activities, and if you go in early September, there's no crowds. So Vermont.
And our final question, a book recommendation for our listeners. Alan?
Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. Period.
Very good. Steve?
Lessons in Chemistry. It's the first fiction I've read in years, and it lived up to the hype. And once my wife and daughter finish it, I very much look forward to seeing Brie Larson as Elizabeth Zott on screen.
So Matt Pries is one of our earliest insiders. Do you have one of these questions you're dying to answer?
Oh, I don't know that I'm dying to answer any of them. I think my favorite vacation spot in the U.S. is probably Disney. That's been a great memory maker for me as a kid and as a parent and as a husband. Beautiful opportunities to do different things.
Well, hey, Matt, thanks a lot for being an insider and a fan. I think you've probably listened to every single episode and really appreciate your support.
It's been a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, and thanks for all the work you do to educate others.